Hi guys, my name is Mohammed Aslam Khan. I'm going to teach you today business organization. It is chapter number 3 of grade 10. Before we move on to this chapter, I want to remind you, please subscribe our channel to learn with us. And also in future, I'm going to teach you a lot of things on this chapter. These classes are done with main focus that to teach the students who couldn't pay fees during this pandemic. Let's start business organization without wasting our time. So there are a few things you need to know when it comes to business organization. Business organization means it can be individual or group of people working towards a common objective to satisfy human needs and wants. So that's the basic definition you need to know. You don't want to remember the whole stuff here they have given. Why I'm referring the textbook, because textbooks are most of the time preferred by most of the students when it comes to exams, and all of the students will not have the the chance to revise through tubes, and everyone will have a book with tube which is given by the government. So let's move on to the topic we want to discuss. So business organization can be individuals or group of people working towards a common objective in order to satisfy a human needs and want with profit motive or non-profit motive. This is the definition you need to remember when you're doing business organization. So here this paragraph, there are four paragraphs which is given, it is not much important to learn this. What is important, I will ask you to learn. Then, of course, you can focus on that particular area. Now, here they are given classification of business organization in three ways. This is very important. So, you can mark it down in your textbook. This is important. So, it is divided into based on ownership, based on objective, and based on scale. So, it is divided into three ways. Okay. Then, when it comes to based on ownership, again, this paragraph is not important. You need to remember the business is divided into two ways. We say as private and public business organization. So you need to know how the business is divided in private sector businesses and how the business is divided into public sector businesses. So for that, we are going to move on to the next page. You might see here a business will be divided into private sector and public sector. Let me read the names under private sector: sole proprietorship, partnership, incorporated companies, cooperatives, and other associations. Under public sector, business under central government, provincial council, and local government institutions. Example: department, state corporation, and companies. Now you might understand that I'm giving you a clear idea that what is important when it comes to private and what is important when it comes to public sector. But remember, when it comes to private sector and public sector differentiation, you need to know what is owned by individuals and group of people rather than government comes under private sector. What is taken by government, what is government running all the business comes under government. Whichever comes under government, you need to consider it as public sector. So that's how you divide private and public. So you need to know this differentiation. So having this in mind, so this is very important, this chart. I want you guys to write it down in your writing book and by heart this chart, because this can be tested on your MCQ paper. So don't miss a mark on your exams on this area. So again, this area you don't want to remember this. This is the same definition which I gave, which is run by government, we say it as public sector, which is run by individual, we say it as private sector. Easy as that. So let's move on to the next part. We have based on objective, we divide the business into two. Number one, we say it as not-for-profit businesses, and second thing we say as profit businesses. So under profit businesses, what are the businesses will come down, and under not-for-profit businesses, what are the businesses will come down? You need to know. Business organization says that for profit businesses, they have few things like they have divided again into private and public, sole proprietor, partnership, incorporated companies. These three companies comes under private sector. And but if you see here on making profit from the government sector, only state companies are coming under profit businesses. But on the private side, which was earlier when we took ownership, cooperatives and other association was here under ownership. And when we are taking for not-for-profit businesses under private, this business also is helping the people. So the main aim to help the welfare to the people. So they want to give to people something from their side. That's what we say it as cooperative societies and other association. The same task, not-for-profit business is done by under public sector, state corporations and departments. I hope you understood this part. So let's move on to the next part. So moving on to the next part of this area, you just need to know when it comes to scale, very important. This is a very important part which we say, how do you divide the business based on scale? Before we move on to this topic, I want to remind you, business organization is divided into two when it comes to scale. We say it as small and medium scale. Number two, we say it as a large scale business. So how do we consider small and medium scale businesses? You need to know one thing, small and medium scale business and large scale is divided into two different sectors by considering these things. So number one, let's see how much money they have invested. If you have invested 100,000, it's a small business. If you have invested 10 million, it's a big business. So with the amount of investment, you can decide it is a small business or a big business. But when it comes to second thing, number of employees, the number of employees, like according to census and statistics, you might see here, they have said less than, if there are employees who is working less than 25 employees, then of course we consider it as a small business. If it is more than that, we consider it as a long business. Easy as possible, census and statistics department says that they are mainly worried about the number of people who are working in the country and also number of people who are living in the country. So they are the department who measures the number of people living in the country and deciding which sector they belong to. So now they are saying that number of employees, if the employees are less than 25, you consider it as a small or medium scale, or when it comes to a large scale business, we consider it is more than 25. So you need to know that amount of energy you use. If it is a small less energy you have used, you consider it as a small and medium scale. High energy, you they might give on paper, and you consider as a large scale business. Market share of the business, easy as possible. I'll give a good example. You have Fonterra. You have Fonterra companies are two companies. Let me take Anchor and Ratti. So both belongs to New Zealand company, but people think that Ratti is belonging to Sri Lanka, whereas I want to remind you, Ratti and Anchor both are same company. So when Anchor and Rati both are same company, which is Fonterras, there's another company I can take, Nestamol, which is Nestle's company. So now, if Anchor is taking 60% of the share market in the whole market, Sri Lanka 21 million population, the target is 60% of people on Anchor. Then that's number two. We can say if Anchor is targeted on 60%, 15% may be Rati. 75% of the market has been captured by this giant Fonterra company. And the third thing is Nestle. If I take 20% of the, maybe people love to drink Nestamol to boost themselves, so 20% they might drink. So 95% of the share has been taken by these three major competitors. Now there's only 5%. In that 5%, if you come under the 5%, then of course this 5% is representing the small businesses. And if I'm speaking about Anchor or Rati, this is a big business. So this is a large scale business based on the share which we have given. So I hope you have you need to remember under classification of business there are three ways to divide. Number one, we said as based on ownership, private and public. You need to know what are the companies comes under private and what are the organizations comes under public. And second thing, when it comes to remember, you need to remember based on objective, profit and not-for-profit objective. How do you divide private and public under profit? How do you divide private and public under not-for-profit? And the third thing you need to remember, based on the scale, there are two ways to divide: medium, small and medium scale, and large scale. If you are going to divide small and medium scale and large scale, you need to know what are the factors you need to consider. Based on that, you need to divide small scale and large scale. So I hope you understood the classification of business. Let me teach you in the next video the types of business organization. We'll discuss in the next video. See you guys on the next video.